The Zephyrian interrogation chamber hummed with energy fields designed to break the will of any sentient being. Commander Vexth studied the human specimen through the reinforced viewing portal, his 4 eyes analyzing every detail with clinical precision. The creature sat motionless in the center of the chamber, arms bound behind its back, head hanging forward as if in defeat. Subject has been without food for 72 standard cycles, reported his aide, Kretal. Water was withdrawn 48 cycles ago. Neural disruptors have been active continuously. Vexith's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Excellent. The human should be ready for extraction now. Their primitive physiology cannot withstand our methods. The Zephyrians had captured Captain Sarah Chen during the failed defense of Kepler Station. Intelligence suggested she possessed crucial information about human military installations, data that would ensure the swift conquest of Earth. What should have been a simple interrogation had stretched into cycles of frustration. Vexith entered the chamber, his towering form casting shadows across the sterile walls. The human didn't look up. "Captain Chen," he began, his voice modulated through the universal translator. "Your suffering can end. Simply provide the defensive coordinates of your homeworld." Chen raised her head slowly. Her lips were cracked, her skin pallid from dehydration, but her eyes burned with an intensity that made Vex step back involuntarily. "Go to hell," she rasped. The commander's frustration peaked. "Your species' stubborn nature will be its downfall. Do you not understand? We have studied your biology. Humans require sustenance every few cycles, water even more frequently. Your neural pathways are simple, easily disrupted. You should have broken days ago." A sound escaped Chen's throat, dry, raspy, but unmistakably laughter. "You studied us," she said, "but you didn't understand us." Vexith activated the neural disruptors to maximum intensity. The human convulsed as waves of agony coursed through her nervous system, yet she continued speaking through gritted teeth. "My great-grandfather survived the Bataan Death March, 65 miles in tropical heat, no food, no water, beatings, every step of the way." Her voice grew stronger despite the torture. "My grandmother lived through the siege of Leningrad, 900 days of starvation, ate wallpaper paste and sawdust bread and kept fighting." The Zephyrian increased the power. Chen's body arched in pain, but her voice never faltered. "My father was a POW in Vietnam for 7 years. Bamboo cages, broken bones, psychological warfare. Came home and taught me that the human spirit doesn't break, it adapts." Vexith deactivated the torture device, confusion replacing his confidence. According to every analysis, the human should be catatonic by now. Their research indicated that humans were fragile, dependent on regular sustenance and comfort. Yet this specimen seemed to grow more defiant with each passing cycle. "Impossible," he muttered. "Your physiological limitations are just numbers on your little charts," Chen interrupted. "You want to know what makes humans different from every other species you've conquered? We don't just survive. We thrive in conditions that would kill anything else." She struggled to her feet, the restraints cutting into her wrists. "We evolved on a death world. Ice ages, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, plagues that wiped out 90% of all life. Every single one of my ancestors survived something that should have killed them." Vexith activated his communication device. "Increase starvation protocols. Reduce oxygen levels by 30%. Chen smiled, actually smiled. "Good luck with that. Humans have climbed mountains where the air is so thin most species would suffocate. We've survived in deserts where the temperature swings 100 degrees between day and night. We've crossed oceans in wooden boats and walked to the poles of our planet just because they were there." Days passed. The Zephyrians threw everything at their prisoner: temperature extremes, sensory deprivation, chemical agents that should have shattered her sanity. Each time Chen endured, more than endured, she seemed to feed off their efforts to break her. "Your methods are interesting," she told them during one session. "But humans invented most of these techniques. Waterboarding, sleep deprivation, stress positions. We've been doing this to each other for thousands of years. And we learned something important. There's always someone who won't break. Vexith began to understand why the human military had performed so unexpectedly well in their early encounters. It wasn't superior technology or tactics. It was this inexplicable refusal to accept defeat. On the 10th day, Chen began singing. Her voice, though weakened, carried through the facility. It was an old song, something called the Ballad of the Green Berets, and somehow other human prisoners in distant cells began singing along. The sound sent chills through the Zephyrian guards. It wasn't just defiance. It was joy in the face of hopelessness. "You still don't get it," Chen said when Vexth stormed into her cell. "You're trying to break something that's been forged in fire for millions of years. Every human carries the genetic memory of every catastrophe our species has survived. We're not just hard to kill, we're impossible to break." That night, the human resistance mounted a rescue operation. They fought through superior Zephyrian forces with a ferocity that defied all tactical projections. When they reached Chen's cell, they found her standing upright, still bound, still unbroken. As they freed her, she looked back at Vexth one final time. "You wanted to understand humans? Remember this. We don't just survive impossible odds, we make them routine. And now you've given us a reason to show you exactly what that means." The rescue ship disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the Zephyrians to contemplate a terrifying new reality. They had awakened something they didn't understand, a species that treated suffering as a teacher, hardship as a companion, and impossible odds as a personal challenge. Commander Vexith stared at the empty cell and finally understood why the human military motto was simply, "Adapt and overcome." He began composing his report to the High Command, recommending immediate cessation of hostilities with Earth. Some enemies, he had learned, were too dangerous to make